Okay, so much has been coming through and it's really wild, and I keep getting so fascinated by it that I keep getting distracted because this has been going on for weeks now. So I'm jumping on and just jumping in. So it showed a past life, or it looked like it because it also looked older, right? Like it wasn't even the right outfits or clothing. And it was like two people had fallen in love, but the woman was beautiful. But unfortunately, it was also because she was so beautiful, and it was in a time where I guess she didn't have a right, or like she wasn't allowed to choose on her own. I don't really know, but like somebody came and snatched her away because she was so beautiful. So it was like, I guess, a blessing and a curse, you know? In any case, the person she fell in love with that didn't know or was never told, or I don't know. I couldn't gather all of that, but it was heartbreaking. It was like heart-wrenching. It was awful. Because it was like he was able to see her with this other person, but he couldn't get to her. And it was like he thought she chose him or something. And this is why it was weird, or why I was confused. How would he not know that she didn't have a choice or she was snatched up? I guess he thought she willingly went. I don't know. But it was horrible because there wasn't, I guess, like the ability or the right to communicate. I really don't know. Scooch to another lifetime. And it, again, because like all the clothes had changed, it was closer to what we would think of, but still like 80s or something. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not now, but, and it was like they had found each other again, but didn't know it, right? Like it's like what we talk about. It's like sometimes you just recognize people, but you don't know why. And so it was kind of that idea, I guess, that they bumped into one another, connected somehow. But he didn't feel like he could get to her or go to her, right? Like there was something where it was very, it was like resembling I don't know how many lifetimes ago, but a previous lifetime. And it was like she tried to dull herself down. She was like always trying to like put on weight and hide herself and not look so pretty. But you could tell she was pretty underneath, but you could also tell it was underneath, like it was. And there was also the person who snatched her up in the other lifetime, was also in this scene. But it was like a different time. That's why I was like, I think it might have been this lifetime. It was like 80s kind of thing. It wasn't, I don't know. It was a lot, and it was fast. And because I feel like she was still with the person she didn't want to be with when she bumped into this other person. And I don't know if the message was that people weren't learning their lessons. Like, was his lesson in the lifetimes years ago to speak up or to go get her, or to know that he is worthy, to understand those like lifetime circumstances? Like, I have no idea. And her heart was broken because she wanted him just as badly, but I guess was never able to tell him that or communicate that. I have no idea. And it was like she was told it was because she was pretty, she was snatched up. So she looked at that as like a flaw or a bad thing, trying to hide herself in this lifetime. So it was like she didn't learn the lesson that, like the exterior doesn't matter, but it matters. Like, you need to care for yourself. You need to love yourself. You still need to maintain yourself, yet it doesn't dictate who you are. But there's still more there. There's something, I don't know what her lesson was either, to be honest. So there was all that, but there was a bunch of other ones I wanted to share with you. There was that. God, I remember one of the days waking up going, I remember. Oh, man. I'll try to get on more. I think the other stuff was maybe more questions I had for them or for even you guys. Like, it's like, in other words, it was like there was something about karmic debt too. It was like they hadn't learned the lessons in the previous lifetime, so then they came into this lifetime and had to pay off karmic debt. But it was like, well, what's the lesson they didn't learn? Because it wasn't really portraying it that way. It wasn't portraying like they did anything wrong per se. Or maybe I just didn't get to see that part. Like, maybe they didn't share that. But it just seemed weird that what they did show didn't seem like it was like wrong or bad. It was sad. And then it did feel like they had to pay karmic debt in this lifetime. But why would you have to pay karmic debt in this lifetime from that? So again, that must have been just what they weren't showing me. Or no, I think maybe. Sorry, they just showed me infidelity. I mean, I don't know. You didn't show me that in the previous scene. Maybe. Oh, that was the other thing that was coming through. Thank you. So, it was something about the karmic debt, and then in this lifetime, or whenever, the storyline, it was like they had entered this time, and one of them, I think it was showing him, got tired of waiting. It was something like, it's like we don't always know, right? Like, we don't always know when we're going through karmic debt or why, because it really might not have anything to do with this lifetime. So then you can drive yourself batshit crazy going, oh my God, what the fuck, right? You have to really dig in deep and go through your ancestral line inside to determine what the fuck is going on. Anyway, I guess she was taking too long. I don't know what the case is, because again, I feel like in real time, in their reality and their present moment, like they had met each other, they felt something, they knew something, but it wasn't like they recalled all those past lifetimes, or it wasn't, that wasn't what they were impressing upon me. So they're just like bumbling around in this lifetime like the rest of us idiots. And, but they had this inkling or awareness that there was something, they just couldn't put their thumb on it. And I guess he must have woken up to it or something, because he got tired of waiting. But it was like he had no choice but to wait, because again, it was like she had to go through karmic debt. Like, she still owed the universe. She still owed. So there's... Oh, right. And so then I think he ended up giving up. He was tired of waiting. And so then he, I think, ended up getting into a relationship or a marriage or something. Like, he went about his life. He decided to live his life and stop, because it can feel like that. It's like, is this all delusion, right? Is it a hope and a wish and a prayer, right? Like, is it, what the hell's going on? Like, sometimes you can feel like that about things. And so it's in my opinion, it's almost like good for him for like being like, I don't know what the hell's going on. And yet at the same time, when they were showing this, my thought was also, that's horrible and so sad, because I don't know if I explained this. Those were the two in the original scene that they showed me that were so madly in love. And then whatever the hell happened, she got ripped away and all this stuff happened. So they never got to be together. And then they come into this lifetime and they both had karmic debt to pay. And then he happened to like remember or something. There was something more of an indication on his side. And yet got tired of waiting. So then yet another lifetime. Again, they don't get to experience bliss together. And I thought, God, how often does that happen? Like, that probably happens so much more than we realize, where, souls are just bumping around lifetime to lifetime. And if we're not present, if we're not conscious, if we're not choosing, if we're not living for ourselves, if we're not really aware, if we're not standing up, if we're not speaking up for ourselves, if we are not learning our lessons and being proactive with all of them, how much are we all losing out on? Will we ever really know? Because you just keep fumbling into the next until you do. It is really like until you do wake up and start to do that work. And then I think everything ends up being fine. I mean, it always does. It really is like the fairy tales. It really, Walt Disney really, he really got a lot of it. I think he got all of it. I think he's said it every which way towards Sunday. We just always looked at it as fairy tales. But it's more real than we're giving it credit for. I loved Walt. I wish I knew him. All those great movies. I don't know. I feel like there's a million more things I wanted to share all around this. It was all around like past lives and then remembering and waking up and having karmic debt and still missing out. And so you had to wait till the next lifetime. Oh, God, it was just a bunch of like ripping my heart out. Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. You can now purchase an audio journey with me using the link below.